The Simchas Torah holiday celebrates the journey that we take every year through the Parshas, first book, second book, third book, fourth book, to the fifth book, and we finish the fifth book just after Yom Kippur. And then comes the holiday of Simchas Torah, when we finish it completely, and then we celebrate a massive celebration of having learned all 5 books and all the chapters and portions in that book. And of course, the people that celebrate greatly by taking the Torahs out and dancing all through the shul with the Torah. The idea of dancing on Simchas Torah and learning on Shavuos is the idea that when you get a gift, you have to first unwrap it to find out what's in it. So therefore, we got the gift called the Torah. We got to unwrap it and take a look and start learning it. Now I know what it is. Now I can really enjoy it. So now my next step is to rejoice with it when I've completed my learning. But of course, you never complete your learning. No sooner do we finish the final Parsha in the last book of the Torah, and the Simchas Torah after the holidays of Sukkot, but at the same time, we begin anew and start with the beginning of the beginning of the world and Genesis and creation, gracious, and we start a whole new journey for the coming year. How many people were here when we started gracious? Remember starting gracious way back? So it seems like so long ago, you know. And but it's been a fun journey, and of course, you know, as I've always said, that cartoon character that says, "Are we there yet?" Has got it wrong. It's, "Are we on the way yet?" Well, we've been on the way. That's really the beauty of the journey. Enjoying every step of the journey, every stop in the journey, every week, every parsha, every new message that is given, which gives us new insights and new joys to understanding God's teachings. And so we start this 4th book with great anticipation. Wow, we finished 3 books already. Not bad. It's been a pretty exciting year. We went through since winter time. And now we're into the spring and almost soon the summer. And we finished the last 2 books up. We're starting with book number 4 this Shabbos this week. But at the same time, the calendar records that the holiday of Shavuos is coming a week later. And when the holiday of Shavuos comes, it's going to come a week from tonight, Thursday night. Of course, it'll come at the culmination of the 49 days of counting the Omer. And we've been counting the Omer all along, and as you count with anticipation and hope and joy for that momentous event when Hashem gave the Torah from Mount Sinai. So the 49th day would be next Thursday. And the Thursday night would be the holiday, because it's 49 days over. And so Thursday night is the holiday of Shavuos. And of course, you should be celebrating, and that's a regular yontif. And in that regular yontif, we light candles, have kiddush, don't go to work. And all the 39 labors are forbidden to us except the 3, which includes cooking, transferring of fire, and carrying. Oftentimes people say, well, carrying isn't much of a difference because everybody carries when you're in an area. How many people here live within the area? Within whatever particular area you live in. You may live in the valley, you may live in the city, but you live within the area. How many people don't live within the area? You don't live in the area?
I'm like 5 minutes outside.
Oh, because you're south of the freeway. Yes, I think you may be in the city area. Because I think the city area reaches to the freeway. Yeah, double check it. I think that the city area reaches from all the way from the city into the valley, just up until the 101, and we take over after the 101. Of course, that means that you really can't carry anything before the freeway till after the freeway, because then you're going from one area to the other. That would be a problem. And that would be a problem.
Can you throw it to the other side?
Oh, can you throw it to the other side? That's a great question. Okay, so then you stay there, and I'm going to throw it to you over the freeway.
Well, the other thing is to not carry it professionally, right?
Right.
In other words, what you would normally carry.
Right. So I'm throwing it over the freeway, and then Dana is going to catch it right there.
It's called the freeway series.
Freeway. Freeway series, right? The Dodgers will want you. The problem, of course, with that is that it is going out from one area to the other, one domain to the other, and that becomes a prohibition. But if one person throws it and the other person catches it, that's not a real full carrying, because carrying, by definition, as we've taught many times, requires the professional task of removal and placement. If one guy removes and the other guy places, each guy's done half a job. Half a job is not a professional task, and by definition, it's not forbidden on Shabbos. Of course, on Yom Tov, it is okay anyway, so it's a difference. Thursday night, you carry in any event. Friday morning, carry. But then here's an interesting thing. The second day of Shavuos, which we celebrate outside of Israel, is on Shabbos. So what takes precedence over here? Shabbos or Shavuos? Well, actually, we'll continue Shavuot, but we will also have Shabbat as the dominant feature. In other words, those three things that would be permissible on Yom Tov are not permissible because Shabbat overrides. Okay, so then can you cook on Friday you can cook, of course, for Friday, but can you cook on Friday for Shabbat? The answer is no, because they're cooking for another day. So how about you going to eat Shabbat? Can't cook on Shabbat itself. So we make an Erev Tavshilin on Thursday afternoon, just before candle lighting. Take a piece of challah, an egg or a piece of chicken, and put it into a plate, make a bracha, and allow us to cook on Friday by virtue of the ceremony for the next day for Shabbat, because there's no other choice with regards to Shabbat. This mitzvah of Erev Tavshilin is basically understood as a rabbinical mitzvah. It's one of the 7, in fact, of the mitzvahs that are Rabbanan. And what it does is it's a permission that the Rabbanan allow by virtue of the fact that it's their authority in the first place, because once it became permitted to cook on holidays by virtue of what the Torah says, the Rabbanan came in and made it stricter and said, don't cook for the next day. That's a rabbinic imposition, of which they will be lenient if it comes to needing food for Shabbat. So that's what we're going to do on Thursday and Friday next. But on Thursday night, we have a custom to stay up all night and learn. Now, like on Yom Kippur, you fast all day and you don't eat. There's another one, you don't sleep. I mean, every single possible difficulty or imposition, Judaism will find a way to give it to you. So they don't let you eat on Yom Kippur, they won't let you sleep on Shavuos. Now, I will tell you that I've been grateful throughout the years since I was 16, which means that this year will be, God willing, my ability to do so, will be 60 straight years that I have stayed up on Shavuos night and have not missed a night, a Shavuos night of learning. And this is a very special night. It's a night when the anticipation of the joy of the holiday of the Torah is coming. This was a great moment in Jewish history, a defining moment in Jewish history, an identifying moment in Jewish history. So let's be sure about it. There is no Jewishness understood without Torah. Torah defines the very identity of who we are, our people. Of course, the Torah is not an easy thing. The Torah is a mandate of a whole host of rules and laws and that you got to keep. Some easy, some difficult, and so forth. But what's important to understand is that when you get into a project, you don't get into it partially. We don't take half the Torah and say, well, this mitzvah I like and that mitzvah I don't. We don't pick and choose. Either it's real or it isn't. Either it's defining or it's not. If you're into it, you're into it. And that's it. 613 is the bottom line. Well, that means that there's so much of the Torah that we know of that has taught the world civilization, human decency, proper values and mindsets and so forth, that you can't abandon this. So therefore, all the other stuff comes along with the package. And so now we're ready to accept the Torah. And we'll talk a little bit about it more on Sunday, how to actually recreate the history of what took place at that time. But for now, I want to do two things tonight. I want to take a look at our Parsha, which again, as I say, is Bamidbar, opens the fourth book in the desert, the description of the stories of the Jewish people traveling through the desert on the way to Eretz Israel, and the unfortunate delays that occur, and the rest of the stories that go out to this entire book. But it's also a book of numbers, as we said in English, simply because we're going to be counting and counting and counting and counting. The counting factors are all about how many people there are. And Hashem counts them. Why does he count them? Because he loves them. He loves the Jewish people. So no, you have money, or you have gold or jewelry, you count it, you look at each piece, and you account for it, so to speak, because each one is precious. And Hashem counts every Jew as precious. And the amount of Jewish people that are counted in some totality is only as important as each and every single individual is. Take away one single individual, there's not a Jewish people anymore. And so we think about it, I guess, in terms of people who are loyal to the faith and loyal to the tradition, and join us in our endeavor to lead good lives and to do the right things. And we kind of feel a little bit worried about those people that are not joining us, maybe not so religious, not so committed, maybe not involved at all, maybe reformed or conservative or totally secular perhaps. And of course, the whole goal of all that is to simply hope and pray to Hashem that they all do tshuva, see the light, come and join us. That's the whole idea. We don't want to lose them. We want to bring them in and embrace them. And that will only strengthen us, not only quantitatively, but qualitatively as well. And so we start this book here by Midbar. And remember one more thing. It's in the Midbar of Sinai, as you can see on the top of the page. And in the Midbar of Sinai, we're saying that this is the parsha that's read every year before the holiday. Every year you can count on it. Shavuos is coming up right after we start with this fourth book. And the significance of that message is that it's the Midbar. The Torah was given in the desert. Why was the Torah given in the desert? Well, for one thing, it wasn't given downtown. It wasn't given with its bright lights. It wasn't given in Las Vegas Strip. It wasn't given when the Holy Rollers are playing the casino and playing the cards and spinning the roulette wheel and having all these good times. Let the good times roll. That's not what the Torah was given. The Torah was given in a place where people did not have all the conveniences. We live in really nice homes, drive a decent car, and have a nice table and good food and live a good life. In the Midbar, they struggle. Nobody lives a good life in the desert. Let's travel down a Palm Desert and see what they try to build up Palm Springs over there with. I mean, the deserts are deserts. It's not fun to be in a desert. It's hot, it's sandy, it's dry. If there's water, maybe there isn't water. Maybe you need more sure. Maybe they'll come by and hit the rock with a stick to get some water. And then you need food. There's food coming from, you can't plant anything. Hashem brings the food from the heavens. And you have the mama that says that they food to eat for the. Sorry, no, talk to you. I can't. It's class. Bye bye. And that wasn't rude. That was I really wanted to be rude to the guy. I get like California. Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I don't want to lose that guy. Of course, I get these, what do you call these spams all the time. We should see what I tell them. Oh, yeah, sorry, they called me. So anyway, you're in the desert. And the fact of the matter is that a person really has to make himself into a desert in order to receive Torah. In other words, living the good life is everything we all want, and make money and have worse than wine. But that's all. Oh, okay. Gonna find take care of everybody know what Hatzalah is? How many people know Hatzalah? Hatzalah is the local Jewish ambulance service and paramedics that come quickly to your house when you are quickly to you when you're in danger. And a person here who's a member of Hatzalah has that sort of thing that goes off. If he's sitting in shul on Shabbat morning and praying, and he's got that attached to it, and that goes off, out he goes, gets into his car, and saves someone's life. Now, that happened to me. I was having my first heart attack back in 13, and they called the paramedics, and they called the Hatzalah. So the Hatzalah got there before the paramedics did. So but this is the beauty of being part of a Jewish community. We're all there for one another. And the sense of caring and so forth. So anyway, we're in the desert, and the idea is the more we can restrain from indulgence and having things our way or whatever, the stronger we become, the more disciplined we become, the more capable we are of appreciating real values that require self-sacrifice. All values do, by definition. Whatever you do that's valuable, that's good, whether it's for yourself, for the people, for other people, for your family, for Hashem, it's got to cost you something. The idea of giving charity isn't so much that you took $1 out of your pocket and gave it to the poor man, that the poor man gets the buck. That's not so big, that's a big deal. It's got to get the dollar anyway. Your important thing is you put your hand in your pocket and have the $1 less because of it. By having $1 less, you do the mitzvah. The idea is to self-sacrifice, to become more noble, to become more giving, to become less involved with me. It's not about me. It's about others, people close to me. That's how people should be living. That's what the desert teaches. You can do without this. You can do without that. And the more you do without, the stronger you become, the happier you become, the more Torah involved you become, the more capable of appreciating and valuing and understanding the Torah you can become. And that's really a personality trait. But I think this personality trait isn't necessarily instinctive. It's got to be something everybody's got to work on. No one is born that way naturally. Every baby is born and fights his siblings for the toy. This is something that maturation demands in terms of becoming growing as a better person. And this is what Torah is all about. To appreciate the Torah teachings, you have to have that instinct inside you. The more there is self-indulgence or personal interest, the less you can really grasp of this, the less you'll understand this. And the more you'll find it difficult or challenging or odd to be able to appreciate this beauty and this reality. It's got to require a great personality that of self-sacrifice that is able to do that. And we've been working on that with the qualities that we're working on throughout this entire Omer. 49 days of trying to improve our quality and character. And in so doing, we hope that we're ready on Shavuos night, just like the Jewish people were in the desert 3,500 years ago. So that's why we started with the Midbar. Now we know Shavuos is coming, we're in the desert. As you can see, Hashem speaks to Moshe in the desert and tells him that this is the first day of the second month. Anybody know the name of the second month?
So when you start.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the first one, our first month. Nisan. So that was last month. So that means our second month now is Yeah. That's right. Okay. Now I know everyone thinks about Tishrei and Rosh Hashanah, but we've often just made the distinction. There is a new year for the world and a new year for our people. According to America, for instance, January 1st is a new year. And July 4th is America's new year. America becomes a year older. So we do the same thing. We celebrate the anniversary of creation on Rosh Hashanah. But we celebrate our personal anniversary from Pesach, Nisan. So the second month is Iyar, and that's our month right now, by the way. We're going to the 28th day of Iyar tomorrow. So Rosh Chodesh of the next month, the third month, is going to be Sivan, which will be on Sunday. So Rosh Chodesh is Saturday night and Sunday. And the new month begins Sivan. Sivan is the month which is called the month of threes. Why the month of threes? Because for one thing, it's the third month. But also it's to know that that's how our Torah is defined. Our Torah is defined by a split into three. There is Torah, there's the prophets, and then there's the writings. Each one with a lower level of sanctity, but all enough of sanctity to be included in what we know as the Bible, Tanakh. Tanakh stands for, you should know this, very important. The Tav stands for Torah, the Nun stands for Nevi'im, the prophets, and the Chav stands for the Chesuvim, the writings, and those are the three parts of the Torah, of the Tanakh. Torah is one part of the Tanakh. Torah, Nevi'im, Chesuvim. In addition, when we learn the oral Torah, which accompanies the Torah, which was given by Hashem in Har Sinai, we also know that the oral Torah contains the Mishnah and the Gemara. So together with the Torah becomes a threesome again: Torah, Mishnah, and Gemara. And the Mishnah and Gemara becomes Talmud. What's also interesting is that the Jewish people are people of three. We either are Kohanim, or Levian, or Yisraelim. Some people are Kohanim by virtue of their descent from a parent who's a Kohen. Some people are Levites based upon their descent. And of course, the rest of us are Yisraelim. But this is a people of threes who are receiving the Torah of threes in the third month. And three is always known to be the Chut HaMeshulash, the three-pronged knot. Tie a knot once, twice, three times. Says the Mishnah, you tie a knot three times, it won't come out. That's a good thing to know. Because let's say a person wants to really know whether or not his growth and his efforts are solid. How do I know that I won't fall apart? How do I know that I won't abandon all these beautiful teachings? Well, I can tell you for a fact that I've had, unfortunate experiences with people who I have had major involvements with, who sat here and have learned through the years, and some of them have fallen apart. I took a pledge. We had one fellow who took a pledge, went to the mikveh, and a week later dropped out. I would have preferred that he dropped out a week before the pledge, before the mikveh. Of course, we did have one young lady, never forget her, Karen, who stood up tall and wrote me a letter a week before the date was set for the mikveh. And she wrote me a letter and said, Rabbi, I love your teachings, I love Judaism, I love the Torah, I can't do it. Too many pressures, family, this, that, and that, but I'll always be grateful to you for your teachings, but I simply can't go through with it. But I always be, I would say, a religious, righteous Gentile and supportive of the Jewish people. And thank you for your teachings. And on top of that, she sent me a check. An incredible young woman with a tremendous strength inside her. And she didn't convert, but she remains in my mind forever as a person of incredible integrity. Incredible. And that's really what we want to strive to achieve. Because, and the way to achieve that is to say, what strategy can I employ to make myself better, to do what I need to do, to establish this, to adopt this, to work with this, and to overcome challenge and adversity, and not give up. Well, on mean, don't worry about me. I'm solid. That's the last thing you want to say. And that's the last thing you want to hear. The Mishnah says, don't believe in yourself until the day you die. You never know. People can flip. And I've seen it. And so you really want to establish and work within yourself a strategy so that you really won't give this up and you will remain strong. And that's called working on oneself. That's called becoming aware of oneself, being clued in, not being self-deceptive, and being real. Yes, I want this. What am I prepared to pay for it? What am I prepared to sacrifice for it? And give up for it. And this is the idea of saying, well, in order to establish that pattern of qualities that don't give up, I need to become strong within myself. And the first thing to do is to be sure that you're in battle every day. There is no such thing as a guarantee from tomorrow, today from tomorrow. No such guarantee. No such guarantee we're going to wake up in the morning either, for that matter. But there's no guarantee that I'm going to be religious tomorrow. I could end up, me, personally, doing sins tomorrow morning. It's altogether possible. Anything's possible. And so I'm on my guard all the time. That doesn't mean you have to be paranoid or supremely cautious, but it does mean you're on top of your game. Be aware. People do make mistakes. I'm capable of a lot of mistakes. And frankly, if I don't keep myself aware and I don't check myself, I'm going to make a whole lot more than I anticipate. And that's the whole idea of working on oneself. And that is really what the Torah is all about. And so we say over here that we're in the month of Iyar, and the month of Iyar, on this historically, on the first day of that month, this story occurred. What is the first day of Iyar? I know it's this year. What is it? What is the first day of any month called? Okay, Rosh Chodesh Iyar, and the second month, the first day, second month of the second year since they left Mitzrayim. In the second year they left Mitzrayim. Well, what month did we leave Mitzrayim? Nisan. So now a whole year passes. It's now Nisan again, and we're celebrating Pesach for the first time and our first anniversary. And the very next month is Iyar. We're a year and a month old out of Mitzrayim, and that's when this happens. What happens? Shem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, take a census of the entire assembly of the children of Israel. Get the family together. Get all the families together. And according to their father's household, by number of names, every male according to their head count. From 20 years age and up, everyone goes out to the region in Israel, goes out to the army, count them, you and Aaron. And with you shall be one man from each tribe, a man who's the leader of the house of the father's household. So therefore, we're going to count not just the entire people, but each tribe. And each tribe has a family. And each family will be counted. And that family will then account to the leader of the tribe. Maybe there's 10, 20 families in a particular tribe. So they come to the leader of the tribe and they say, this is the numbers of our family. This is the numbers of our family. This is the numbers of our family. Then let's count everyone, right? And then the sum total count is given to the leader of the tribe. Hopefully you can count, or you got a calculator. You didn't have a calculator, they had one in those days, maybe they use their heads. Now, then you got 12 tribes. All these people take their sum totals and bring it to the leaders of the Jewish people, Moshe and Aaron, and then you get the sum total number. So let's take a look at it real quick. Here are the names of the leaders. Tribe of Reuben had Elitzur, verse 5. Tribe of Shimon had Shlumiel. Tribe of verse 7. Tribe of Yehuda. And the following tribes continue. Yisachar, Zebulun, Joseph had 2 tribes, Ephraim and Menashe. And then came Dan, and then came Asher. And then, I'm going quickly, and then Gad and Naphtali were the last 2. Now, it would be a good idea that everybody should know the names of the 12 tribes. Is that a fair homework assignment? Is that reasonable? I don't want to be opposing you. You might think I'm mean or something, but So therefore, please, everyone, try to work on remembering those 12 tribes. One of the easy ways of remembering is, of course, remembering the first four, which were the children of Leah. Reuben, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda, right? And Reuben was the firstborn, was Shimon and Levi were the next two brothers, and could not, when Reuben messed up, Shimon and Levi could not take over the leadership because they messed up too. So Yehuda took over and became the new leader of the tribes. You also know that Leah had two other tribes, Yisachar and Zvulun, and they were added. They came later on after the other midwives and concubines had the other two children. The other four children altogether, and that's how Yaakov had those four wives, and produced out of 3 wives 10 children. And then his favorite and beloved was Rachel, and she produced 2, Yosef and Binyamin. Okay, then each tribe had its own leader, whoever the person may be. Anyway, we turn the page in verse 20. We've got the Reuben tribe. And you will see that the count for the Reuben tribe after all the families was 46,500. Everyone see that in 21? Then you go to the Shimon tribe and you'll see their count is 59,300. Then you'll see the Gad tribe count was 45,650. Yehuda's tribe count 27 was 74,600. Yisachar's count at 29 was 54,400. Zvulun's tribe, and his count 31 is 57,400. Yosef, his sons, in 32. Ephraim was his first son, had the numbers of 40,000 on the next page, and then Manasseh came, and their count was 32,200. Binyamin came. And their tribe was 35,400. Here comes Dan, 39. Their count is 62,700. Asher, their count of 41 is 41,500. Naphtali is 53,400. And the total in verse 44. What is the total? And you can go to the countings of the totals of verse 46, 603,550. 603,550 males stood at Mount Sinai. We have to fairly assume that there was an equal number of females because the amount of males are probably less, considering the fact that the Egyptians had killed off a lot of baby boys and not baby girls. But in any event, just to get a roundabout count, we have to assume that 600,000 males included 600,000 females for a total of 1.2 million adults. But we also have to remember this. Of the 1.2 million adults, it says in verse 45, they were 20 years and up. Right? 20 years and up, and they were counted up until the age of 60, and those over 60 were not counted. And so we have to assume that as far as children are concerned under the age of 20, every family had a minimum of 6 children, because each woman in Egypt had given birth to 6 children per pregnancy. If you had 3 or 4 pregnancies, you had 20 kids. Now, that was a very big bracha in those days, highly unusual for today. But if you have 6 kids in one pregnancy, and they're all coming out healthy, well, and full to term, which is what it was. That was the bracha of having Hashem allow the Jewish people to expand and become the great nation that it became quantitatively in numbers. So the 6 children per family, if you have 1.2 million adults, that means 600,000 couples, men and women, each with 6 children, that's 3.6 million children. That's 4.8 million people with the adults. There's another 200,000, shall we say, for the elderly, and you've got about 5 million people standing at Mount Sinai.
Well seasoned.
Well, the elderly are well seasoned. That's true. The elderly simply means you're older than everybody else. Most social settings that I go to, I'm usually the oldest guy around. Because I let them know that too. And so this is an amazing thing because we're standing at Mount Sinai now, and Hashem's giving us the Torah. And according to recordings over here, 600,000 people saw it. So we'll go over that message on Sunday. 600,000 people saw this thing happen and recorded it and reported it. There is no religion in the world or movement or faith that can claim that the event that earmarked their beginning with a divine intervention of God had that many witnesses. Christianity and Islam cannot produce the same kind of evidence. What's interesting about the recording here of that evidence is that here we are 3,500 years later, and the vast majority of our faithful of Jews who still adhere to this avert to that and commit themselves to it and actually believe that this is true. So you've got here a vast number of people today that verify that a vast number of people then saw this event in which God not only appeared as the Almighty of the universe, but also selected the Jewish people and gave them directions for what to do to become Jewish. Well, we'll talk more about that on Sunday. Bring to your attention the fact that at the bottom of 730, verse 48, the tribe of Levi is not counted. And God goes out of his way in verse 49 to tell him, do not count Levi. And don't take a number of them amongst the Jewish people. That doesn't mean that you can't take a number of them. We want to know who they are. But what we want to understand is that they should not be counted with the rest of the people. Separate them. And this really becomes a difficult thing for us to understand when we talk about totalities. I mean, how come there's a certain separation there? Is it separation for good, separation for bad? People don't like to be separated. I mean, are you part of it, not part of it? Is this a good thing, a bad thing, and so forth? Now, a lot of people complain to me that you come to shul and the men and women are separated. And the women sit behind the mechitza and the men sit here, and we're separated. So again, what does that imply in terms of separation? That implies you're not counted, you're not part of this, you're not part of what's going on. But we get an idea here from what the Levi over here that the separation means an individuality. That there is a certain sense of individuality for certain people or certain tribes or certain groups that even though they're part of the total, they also must be separated for a specific reason. Anybody want to volunteer to tell me why Levi separated? Why Levi separated? Why the whole tribe is so different than everybody else?
They belong to the but the only one that accepted it.
Well, they served in the temple. They served in the temple. They had this job of operating the whole service in the sanctuary. They were, in fact, the civil servants of the people. In other words, they worked for us. They were government workers, shall we say, not to be misconstrued with the fools that operate in Sacramento or Washington. But these people had far more intelligence. But the idea is that these people were designated for service without remuneration. Oh, they don't get paid a salary. I'm not so sure I want to run for office anymore. Heard that? And all of a sudden, the civil service gets his basic needs met by virtue of the taxation that is imposed upon the rest of the people, because after all, if you're doing the service in the temple for me and bringing out blessings and sacrifices and services, and you're doing that to the extent where you can't again have a job or gainful employment, and you don't own property, and the rest of us do, we all have to contribute. Anybody know how we do contribute? What's the name of the temple tax? Give me the name of the temple tax. No, give me the name of the temple tax. Well, we give them part of the covenant, that is true. Huh? Yeah, give us a shekel, but it's a very famous name, very famous word that you should be familiar with. And I'll say it in English and most importantly in Hebrew. It's called a, say it. Who said it? Who said it? Yay. A tithe. Good thing you came. A tithe. A tithe means, of course, a tenth. A tenth in Hebrew for the number Maaser. And that's an important thing to learn. Maaser is a certain gift of 1/10 of what we own to the lady, whether it may be in money, maybe in cattle, maybe it be with the crops. But I think it's important to know that today, since most Levium are not in the temple service, and they all have jobs, it's a little different today. We're not in Israel with the temple, still in the base of English. So therefore, the Maisa that we still are required to tithe our money and our income. And we tithe our income from our net, not our gross. We're not obligated to pay for money that Uncle Sam gets. So therefore, once the tax is taken off, you got to get 10% of your earnings. What do we give them to? The ladies are all working out there. They're well cared for. Tzedakah. Find the needy, find the poor. Or go to shul. Or you give to where people are learning. So that this way there can be a continuance of religious life in the world. The lady, for all intents and purposes, guaranteed religious life within our midst, but doing all the service in the base of English, in the temple. So that's the case. Now, who's doing that these days? The rabbis, the teachers, the schools, the shuls, all forms of Jewish organizations that give out tzedakah, organizations called gemachs, free loan affairs, other charitable institutions, and we give to them for as much as we can within the scope of the 10%. In any event, they are separated from another reason also. Not only are they separated because they have no job, and because they're different, and because they need to be supported, but they're also separated in terms of I want them counted separately. And I want them counted separately, says Hashem, because there's a time when a lesson to be learned, when you want to join everybody and you want to be part of everybody, and you want to separate yourself even from your own people, maybe from your own family. There are times when if things are going, if there is a pursuit of wrong, that pursuit of wrong, you should not join because everybody else did. Everybody else doing the wrong thing. But if everybody's doing it, it's the community at large. That doesn't mean that you should join. In fact, it does mean that you have to sometimes stand up, be isolated, and stand up for what you believe and what you know is right, and to be able to stay away from being pulled into the grip of evildoers. Now, you know that Hashem gave the Torah at Mount Sinai. Moshe laid around for 40 days and 40 nights. It came down, and the Jewish people had indulged in the golden calf. The indulgence in the golden calf was really a stupid thing to do because they had waited 40 days patiently for Moshe, fully aware that Moshe was going to spend 40 days. And all of a sudden, the Torah says that he was 6 hours late. So instead of waiting for him patiently so that he could start teaching the class, they said, I'm not waiting for this guy. Right? I'm out of here. Now, we all learned, by the way, the Medrash teaches, that was a miscalculation on the part of the people. And that miscalculation led to desperation. And that desperation led to negative conduct that became destructive. Let's go for Golden Gate. Let's forget about Hashem. Let's forget about everything else. Let's forget about all of our pledges and about all of our beliefs and what we've held to be true. And let's dump the whole thing. And as I said, things like that happen. I've seen it. Been in this business too long. I see too much. Some people do it right and live beautiful lives. Other people just fall apart. Some of them aren't bad for doing so because, like this girl Karen, knew what was the right thing to do and did not go through it. But then you have people that do go through with it, don't sense its seriousness, don't sense its, are you sure you want to do this? Now, just to be honest with you, at the ceremony itself, which I've officiated at hundreds, myself and the rabbis of the Bezdin say to the person, are you sure you want to do this? You can still turn back or change your mind. Anybody forcing you? A whole lot of that conversation goes on during the actual ceremony. It's an amazing dialogue of an attempt to discourage. You sure this is very hard? You don't want to do all this stuff. It's a constant. Got to pray every day. Your whole day's got to be structured. Make sure you pray in the morning, or for women pray later in the day. But you got to pray. You got to do that. And every Saturday you can't go to here. You can't go there. You can't go wherever else you want to go. And Shabbos and his holidays. And like I said, when we numbered up the holidays, the man walked into his employer and said, "Sir, I can't work on the Jewish holidays." And he began to enumerate. Pesach 2 days, Pesach 4 days, Shavuos 2 days, Sukkot 2 days and 4 days, and Rosh Hashanah 2 days, and Yom Kippur, and on and on. And finally, the boss in his aspiration said, "How many holidays do you guys have?" Well, that's who we are. Right. We're people that have a whole gang of holidays. And again, you got to be sure. So, at the Golden Calf, they started. And 2 or 3 guys say, "Hey, come on, let's have fun. It's a Golden Calf. We can do this, we can do that. We don't listen to God all those rules anymore. Let's have this, let's have that. Let's move around. Let's have a rock and roll. Let's play games. And where's the next bar? And where's all the fun and the games?" And everybody joined it, except the tribe. Now Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and he's upset. And he says, "This is terrible. How did you blow it?" I mean, you think about it. 40 days ago, you were the most loyal, loving, devoted people to Hashem. So grateful for being Jewish, so grateful for being alive, so grateful for the Torah. And now you go and do this 40 days later. And so Moshe Rabbeinu chastises them and scolds them, and they deserve it. And most of them are sorry. Most of us generally are sorry too. That's a virtue too, to be sorry. And they make you sorry. But there were some stubborns. Every stubborn people. I didn't do anything wrong. Something wrong with you. Every stubborn people, right? Anyway. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "You got your opportunity now to say sorry and do tshuva, and we'll change, and maybe get another chance at this." And these 3,000 didn't want to do it. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "There's an obligation here to get rid of these 3,000 people, because these 3,000 will bring you back to do it again. And as sorry as you are now, you're going to fall apart unless you get rid of these people. They need to be destroyed and eliminated. They refuse to change." Moshe said, "Who's going to do it?" So Moshe said, "Do it against your own brother if you have to. Your own brother he's promoting idolatry. He's promoting murder and bloodshed. He's promoting all sorts of immorality and thievery and chaos. And the people that stood up to do that was again the tribe of Levi. And so Levi knows that I'm not going to follow blindly just because everybody else is doing it. That's the message of being counted separately. The overwhelming majority of Jews in America, in Israel, are not religious. They don't keep the mitzvah. And, you know, if you want to be an Orthodox Jew and accept the mitzvahs and live this kind of life, it's an isolation. You're different than everybody else, even than your own fellow Jews for that matter. I remember growing up when the Jewish program was born as widespread as they are today. Today, Torah has grown leaps and bounds. In those days, the people who were religious were isolated. I mean, if you wore a yarmulke, you were a weirdo. You were an oddball. Not amongst Goyim, but amongst your fellow Jews. So it's so easy. Every Saturday morning, I'd wake up and I'd walk down the street when my friends are playing ball. I was a good ball player. They said, "Come on, play." And I said, "No, I want to shoot." What a weirdo you are. So be it. I'm going to shoot. I'm grateful that I had the strength to do that for the future of my life, simply because I had a wonderful grandfather who was my role model, who showed me and provided for me an alternative that I saw was better. I can play ball tomorrow, not today. And that's what began, how you begin to understand that you're different and you function differently. And Levi was that tribe. And so Levi has to be counted separately because but it also reminds you of another message, that just as they are counted separately because they did not follow the masses. And if you want to know who the masses are, take off the M and you'll know who the masses are. Everybody get that? I don't want to say it in public. You got it, right? Okay. Don't follow the masses. Understand? Sometimes this gives you the message that when there is a project that's positive, that's good, that's helpful, it's beneficiary for our people, for our families, we should be joining. The idea of togetherness and being counted together is a major lesson that we learn out of the fact that Levi wasn't counted. How many people want to join in the new project? It's going to cost everybody $10,000. But you know what? We're going to build a new shul. And it's going to be beautiful for our families. And our wives and children will have beautiful, it'll be a beautiful school for our kids. We're going to build a beautiful, beautiful community. It'll take a lot of effort. $10,000. How many people? Okay, you can afford 5, no problem. Join us. But join us. That's the idea. Don't live isolated. Someone tells me to live out in the middle of lots of butts, out in the middle of nowhere, middle of here, middle there, middle there. You can't. That's not being part of our people. Being part of our people is part of our community, part of our communities. Pick your community, but be part of it and feel part of it. And every time you go to shul shop this morning, you see Jewish people in the shul, the men, the women, and you say, "Look at all my brothers and sisters, how joyous it is to be part of this. I want to be part." So this teaches us at the same time when you do have to separate and be apart, that you also want to be a part of it in reality as well. Okay, there's more to talk about on the Parsha, but I want to switch now gears just for the next 20 minutes and teach something very important, and that is in the second book of the Torah, and I want to teach it on page 406. This portion, by the way, will be read on Shavuos morning. On Friday morning, Shavuos morning will be read. God said all these words, all these statements. We call them on the right-hand margin Here, chapter 20, on page 407, the Ten Commandments. It is so well populated, well known, and well famous, Ten Commandments, that they made a movie out of it. They called it a blockbuster. Of course, they used my name, which I wasn't happy about. Should have gotten some royalties. Anyway. No good, not a good joke. Anyway, these aren't really the Ten Commandments at all. That's the whole joke. It's a misnomer. These are 10 statements. In terms of commandments, the number 10 doesn't play a role at all. These are 10 statements that Hashem uttered at Mount Sinai on the time of Revelation, on the night of Shavuos, on the night of the giving of the Torah and the 2 tablets, of which 5 statements on the first tablet and 5 statements on the next tablet. But in fact, there are 613 mitzvahs, 613 commandments. And that's why we have a book that we read. We learn the commandments that are applicable nowadays, which is 271. Now, the 10 statements are because God uttered them. And he uttered them in a very direct, dramatic, and defiant way. These are things you must know. And within these 10 statements, you will find 14 commandments of the 613. Within these 10 statements, you will find 14 of the 613 mitzvahs. 10 plus 4 others, and we'll go see them now. The very first statement is, I am Hashem, your God, who's taking you out of Egypt, from the house of slavery. This statement is a statement that says, I am. You must believe that, know that, understand that. And you must understand, I could have identified myself, Hashem says, as I am Hashem, your God, who created the world, because I did that too. And I did that first. But in fact, I want to tell you that you need to identify me in a more personal manner. I created the world for everybody. But in fact, insofar as you're concerned, the Jewish people, I'm the one who took you out of Egypt. And that's my latest feat. And you witnessed it some 7 weeks ago, 49 days ago when you left Egypt. I want you to understand this and remember my role in your life. I am the God of the world, and I am the God of humanity, and I did create it, but you must know me on a more personal level. I took you out of Egypt. I gave you freedom. I gave you a new identity, a new chance at something great and magnificent, and that is to become my servants, my chosen people. I, the King of Kings, I, the one that runs the world. You can become my people, my specially chosen people. And that's the idea of the first statement. And of course, that first statement is a mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? Believe it. But we understand that belief, you understand, is in fact divided into 3 columns, and 2 of them are unacceptable. One is called faith, the other is called belief, the third is called knowledge. How do you know the difference? So faith is very simple. I'm driving downtown LA, nobody knows me, of course, and I need money, so I stopped in at a 7-Eleven store, and I say, I'd like to cash a check for $50. Would you mind doing that for me? The guy looks at me. They give it to him. Looks pretty honest, pretty harmless. Looks like a rabbi, right? So he said, I'll try to cash a check, no problem. We say he's a fool. Because he has faith, perhaps, but not much more. Because that check is still bounced sky high. So that's a big mistake. Faith is unacceptable insofar as understanding God is concerned. You got to be more sure. Commit your life to this. And so the next step is I drive into another 7-Eleven and I say, give me cash for a check. And he says, well, I might consider it, but I need a driver's license and a credit card to see that you really are legitimate. So he has some more information to work on. he has what we call belief. That's valuable too. But it's not the goal. That's not what Jewish people do. Jewish people do not have faith. Jewish people do not believe. I go into the next 7-Eleven store, and I say to the cash my check, and the guy says, "Oh my God, it's Rabbi Blah." Sure, no problem. That's how you have to watch it. Clear as day. Because that's how you commit to life. But you say, I never saw him, I never felt him, I never smelled him. How do I know for sure? Never, right? The answer is very simple. Lots of information that we accept as absolute truths are stuff we never saw. Now, everyone believes that a man was shot to the moon in 1969. In fact, I remember seeing that on television. Now, how did a TV camera get up there to photo? Sure. Hey, it's a crock. I mean, I'm not even sure he did. I'm not sure he even did it. Whatever. Point is that the point is that there are things people believe simply because they're reasonable. I'm a judge on a court case. I'm sitting on the bench and I'm judging. You're the defense attorney, and you are the prosecutor. And the question is, Reuben killed Shimon. He's accused of murder. Is he guilty or innocent? So you present your case that he's absolutely guilty. There's a lot of evidence. And of course, Alex over here presents his case with a lot of similar evidence, if not the same, and twisting it his way, he shows that he's innocent. It's up to me to decide. If you look at the electric chair, or does he go out in the street? And I'm the judge. And I am not persuaded by his innocence or his guilt. I don't care. You care. Because if you get him off, then you get paid. If you prosecute him, then you get paid. Me, I get paid one way or the other, I don't care. I'm totally objective. Okay, then Your Honor. Guilty or innocent. And of course, the idea is to say that I have no subjective area of interest whatsoever. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. Is God the truth? Is Torah the truth or not? And that's how I apply to work at this mitzvah. This mitzvah is a work, it's a job. You have to do it. So you have to eat Shabbat, eat kosher, eat Shabbos. You have to be able to develop within you, and this is a mitzvah that's done every day, every second, a deeper perception of this truth. So that you can be sure as you can, without having seen it. Because at the end of the day, the judge got to make a decision. And he can't say, well, I never saw it. Judge, make a decision. Yes or no? Or throw you out open. We have no choice. We must make that decision. We have to really try and work within our minds, work within our hearts, see our experiences, and simply try to relate as often as possible, as daily as possible, to seeing the hand of Hashem. Now, great experiences can happen in which you really feel the hand of Hashem. I definitely felt the hand of Hashem in New York when I was sick. There's no question in my mind. The miracles that happen that keep me here. On the other hand, I see the hand of Hashem every morning when I wake up on time. That I see. And that's a simpler thing. But the goal is to see Hashem in everything. And in that way, we become more sure of our decision and more clear about what we want to do. And this is Hashem's first commandment to us, first statement to us. Do you believe in Hashem? But if I already believe, to listen to you, what do I got to work for? And if I don't believe, you're telling me you ain't going to make me believe. So what's this idea? How does the mitzvah work? The answer is the mitzvah works by people who are honestly objective and open-minded to seek the truth. That's where it works. And those kind of people, there is this constant thinking and analyzing to try and get to a better perspective and a deeper understanding. That's how you do this mitzvah. How do you do the mitzvah of belief? The answer is work at it with your mind and with your heart. Okay, that's the first statement. That's the first mitzvah. But take a look over here now at 409, verse 3. Right? And all this is being uttered by God on Mount Sinai, Shavuos 9. You shall have no recognize the gods of others. You shall not recognize the gods of others in my presence. Right? There is no other gods in my presence. In other words, as long as I'm around and I'm God, there are no others. Now, since God's been around for a long time, we have to assume that it's going to be around pretty much forever. Which means there's just no room for anybody else. And the singular sovereignty of Hashem is that attempt to inculcate the world with his meaning and his purpose. And of course, this gives us a slight insight into this immense, vast knowledge, which of course is the insight of Hashem's love. Hashem has this love for us. And so there's a second commandment: do not even consider, do not entertain, do not recognize any other possible thought or any other entity or possibility of any other reality whatsoever. Stick with reality. Don't multiply reality. And so, as we go through this mitzvah, we find out that there are a number of other mitzvahs involved. In this statement number 2, don't recognize the other gods, that's one mitzvah. Then another one that says, do not make a carved image, that's 2. Number 3, do not prostrate yourself. Number 4, don't worship them. So we've got 4 different mitzvahs in statement number 2. You shall have no other gods contains 3 other mitzvahs besides that other one under consideration. And it's 4 mitzvahs in statement number 2. Statement number 3, do not take the name of Hashem in vain. Taking the name of Hashem in vain simply means a decided lack of regard, respect, reverence for his holiness. And in that way, we have this third commandment, which is a mitzvah unto itself, of the mitzvah of not taking Hashem's name in vain. I do want to, we'll stop here, it's late. However, I do want to mention one more thing, and that is this, that the first 2 statements, all the people heard themselves. Everybody heard it, everybody witnessed it, everybody said it to their children and grandchildren, wrote it into the Torah, no one disputed it, and it's been ever since throughout our history. As essential as we are who we are, this is what we believe. This has been transmitted to us by these eyewitnesses, 600,000, all the way through 3,500 years. And it's amazing to look at a book and read words that were actually written 3,500 years ago. I know the book looks new, but the message is a whole lot older. The reason I want to mention this is because the first 2 statements everybody heard. At that point in time, everybody died. We all could not handle the overwhelming power and the overwhelming energy of what emanated from heaven and the voice that emanated from heaven. And at that point, we all perished. Hashem made this great miracle and brought us all back to life. We understand that Tchias HaMesim, resurrection, occurred on the spot for all of us. And this was a process we went through where we realized that we had died because of what we had experienced. And realizing that, we realized that if we heard any more from Hashem, it would happen again. And so in order to avoid that, we commissioned Moshe Rabbeinu to go up to Shamayim and to take and learn the rest of these statements and the rest of the Torah and bring it down to us. The word Torah, Siva Lanu Moshe, was commanded to us by Moshe. The word Torah has a numerical value in Jewish letters, in Hebrew letters alphabet, of 611. Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe, and Moshe taught us Torah. Moshe taught us 611 mitzvahs. All the rest he taught us. And the first two, we heard from Hashem himself. This idea of combination of the 613 simply means that we trusted Moshe Rabbeinu. And in that trust, we understood and realized his own mortality, his own vulnerability, his own greatness. At the same time, he himself, by his own statement, subdued himself to Hashem and made us do the same. Not subdue ourselves to him, but to make ourselves subdue to Hashem. And that's where we understand the role that Moshe Rabbeinu played and the accuracy of the story. And we're going to learn more about